Bungie released some new lore on their website yesterday, with some nice story development for Crow and Osiris as we head into the new season. So sometimes this lore gets missed, so I thought I'd go over it today. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. So first of all, today I'm going to get into the new lore, and then we're going to have a look at some of the background. So before we get into it, let me know down in the comments what you think of Crow's story development this season and in Season of the Hunt, and where you want to see his story going. So Bungie did publish this lore on the website, so you can go to bungie.net and check it out yourself, and it's called One Exile to Another. I wish I still had the bottle from that warlock. I've never been drunk before, that I recall. Anyway, Crow scuffed his feet, leaving wide trails amidst the dry pine needles on the forest floor. You can drink all the ethanol you like once we're in the last city, Glint chirped. I'm sure it's readily available there, he whirred quietly, cross-referencing all mentions of alcohol in his database. On second thought, I advise caution. Crow snorted. You usually do. The new Guardian and his ghost watched the sun set over the rugged tree line of the EDZ. In the pine-scented stillness, Crow was suddenly anxious. He imagined the great throngs of people in the city, hundreds of thousands of people. So many people, all armed with the secret of his forgotten past. If they learned what Crow himself didn't know, what would they? What else do you want to try? Glint's tone was light, but his shell flaps were furrowed in concern. We deserve to celebrate. We can do anything you want, as long as... I know, Glint. I know. As long as nobody sees your face. Crow imitated the chipper digital version of his ghost, and then smiled ruefully. I wouldn't even know where to start. Food? Maybe? I'm tired of everything tasting like gun oil and ether. I know just the place. A deep, languid voice floated out the forest behind them. Crow whirled, hand on his sidearm, ready to draw. He relaxed as the grizzled warlock Osiris stepped forward from the shade of the pine trees. It's called the Drunken Noodle. Osiris's normally dour tone bordered on levity. Order the Long Boy Special. It's delicious. I've seen pictures of noodles, Crow said doubtfully. They look like worms. Osiris smiled beneath his cowl. We need to talk about how you're going to get into the last city. Our first priority is getting you some new clothes. Crow looked down at the sigil of the spider emblazoned across his chest. Probably a good idea. I have new gear for you aboard my ship. Osiris beckoned the pair back into the forest. You can change while we wait for nightfall. As Crow followed in the warlock's footsteps, he once again imagined the crush of the last city. He could feel the weight of humanity pressing in around him. The mass of flesh and accusing eyes, the looming walls closing in around him. Crow's rumination was broken as they stepped from the trees into a clearing with a beat-up jump ship parked in the centre. Osiris paused at the foot of the loading ramp and turned to face Crow. There will come a time when your identity, your past, can no longer stay hidden. Crow felt a tightness in his chest as he imagined the whole city, all of humanity, staring at him. And when that time comes, the warlock continued, remember this moment. One exile to another, you can trust me. They clasped hands, and for a fleeting moment Crow wondered if he might find acceptance after all. Well, that is the new lore starring Crow and Osiris, which certainly seemed to point to Crow coming to the tower. And Crow is clearly nervous about getting to the tower, with Osiris stating, there will come a time when your identity can no longer stay hidden. So for those who've been with Destiny 2 for some time, you likely know Crow's past, and for those new to Destiny 2, you may not know. So Crow is formerly Aldrin Sov, brother of Mara Sov of the Awoken. Aldrin and Mara battled Oryx when he arrived in the solar system back in Destiny 1, and then Aldrin took centre stage in Forsaken when Aldrin Sov led a band of Fallen in a prison break, which ultimately led to the death of Cayde 6, the former Hunter Vanguard. Aldrin Sov was ultimately killed at the end of the Forsaken campaign by either Petra Venge, who's currently residing on the Dreaming City as a vendor, or by us, the Guardian. Aldrin was ultimately left behind in the story at that point given he was killed, but then he resurfaced as a Guardian to everyone's surprise. Crow then woke up with no memory of what happened in the past, given his new lease of life as a Guardian. Since he came back to life, he's been in hiding, wandering, with little memory of his past, and he was bullied by many he met outside the last city. So here's a snippet from another lore entry from December 2019. For the last 3 weeks, the Guardian has been camping in a rusted out shipping container far off the main pathways that are always buzzing with sparrows. He stays out of the way of other Guardians, and if he can't do that, he keeps his helmet on. Always. He spends his day alone. Other Guardians are an unpredictable source of pain and confusion, and they see him in the same way. Some react to him with outright hostility. Others are overcome by some personal and unexplained grief, and he doesn't know why. That was the most painful lesson of being reborn. It's better to be alone. So, he's always alone now, except for his ghost. So since then, Crow was taken in by Spider, which is where we join Crow at the start of Season of the Hunt. So Crow saved Osiris from certain death by running through a hive night with a sword. And Osiris is particularly vulnerable now, given his ghost was destroyed by the hive just before the start of the Season of the Hunt. So in Season of the Hunt, we won Crow's freedom through negotiation with Spider for killing Xivu, Arath's High Celebrant, and now Crow's on his way to the Last City with Osiris. And it is going to be interesting to see the reaction of the folks in the Last City, especially Zavala and Ikora Ray, who are the other class leaders of the Vanguard. And it's going to be interesting to see where Crow is going to go. So currently, you can find Osiris hanging out near the annex in the tower outside the ramen shop, which they mention in the lore entry. Personally, I like the development of Crow and his character. There's a couple of theories of where he's going to go. So he could end up being the Hunter Vanguard, given he killed Cade, or perhaps he could end up being the new speaker. However, this theory is less likely given our speaker stated he was going to be the last speaker during torture by the Cabal in the Red War and the siege of the tower. Well, let me know down in the comments what you think of this latest lore entry from Bungie on Crow and Osiris and their story developments, and what you want to see from Crow next season. Well, that is it for this look at Crow and Osiris, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.